Welcome back to AutoScoop with Adam Goldfine and Joyce Littell.
Welcome back to AutoScoop. Thanks for joining us. We do have our partner. He's our partner now.
What?
Yeah, he's been around for a long time.
Thank you. It feels like
Richard,
home. It certainly does.
He's here. I don't want to see anyone else.
Just Richard.
Yes.
He's good.
He's good. I mean, because he talks plainly, I can say, and people understand, what he's talking about, and he makes you feel comfortable about wanting to call you. So, make sure you give that number out like a zillion times. Yeah. Because I hear it. Like I say, you all don't be where I am. I'm among viewers and people a lot. And I hear the comments that are made about the
Do they trust him?
Yes. I mean, he's an easy talker. I mean, when you talk about, what we're going to talk about today, workman's compensation and accidents, it's understandable, and I think that's the biggest thing.
And maybe we should start there, Richard. And before we get going, as Joyce said, throw out your phone number, throw out your website.
Okay.
And then I'd like you to explain what workers' compensation actually is.
Right.
So people know, well, what are they talking about? So
Certainly.
Throw that out.
Okay.
People, if you're watching and you want to call Richard's firm, call him. I mean, the beautiful thing is we trust him. We want you to. We want you to get the best advice. And then you're smart enough to make the right decision for you. We want to give you the information. That's the whole key. So what's your phone number? What's your website?
All right. The phone number is 404-303-8400. That's 404-303-8400. And the website is injuryatlanta.com.
I like that.
Yeah, injuryatlanta.com. And I appreciate your letting me be here. I have really enjoyed it and feel at home here, and just really appreciate being able to reach out to people, because helping people is what I do. I really try my best to make sure that because they're in a bad scenario. You get hurt on the job, you get hurt in a car accident, and your life gets turned upside down. And I speak to these people, and I do my best to listen and to try to help them, because there are a lot of things that can be done to help that situation if you hire an attorney that is going to listen and care and knows what they're doing.
So what is workers' compensation?
Well, workers' compensation is when you're injured on the job, and you have to basically be doing something for the benefit of the employer. You can't be the frolic, for example, if you're off at lunch doing your own errand or having lunch, that's not going to be for the benefit of the employer.
So your stuff is out, okay?
The statute says that it has to be an injury by accident arising out of and in the course of your employment. So basically, arising out of just means that you are doing your job. You're doing your job duties. That's where the benefit of the employer is.
So if you're driving, let's say, to a company function, your boss said you have to go over to this meeting that's in the next building, and you're on your way over there and get hurt, that's for the benefit of the company. You got hurt, you would be entitled to workers' compensation.
That's exactly right. Now, you also are entitled to personal injury if you are injured due to the negligence of someone other than a coworker or your employer. So that's where the scenario of if someone's driving a company truck and out here on these roads, I mean, there are negligent drivers every day causing accidents. Well, you've got an on-the-job injury where you're going to have your medical paid for by workers' comp. You're going to get income benefits for your lost wages. You're going to get paid if you have a permanent impairment to your body. But in addition to that, you might have a third-party claim, which is a personal injury claim against that negligent driver.
So it's really two separate claims. You have the workers' comp, and you have the personal injury. And we've done a show on personal injury before, like what do you do when you're involved in an accident? So what you're telling me, though, is that now you have the chance to also get workers' compensation benefits as well.
How do you know when either one of those are available to you? I mean, just like when you came on once before and you were saying even if it's a little bump in an accident, you should obtain a lawyer because you don't know what the situation might be. So if that were to happen, because I was saying right before we went into the break, I was getting up on the stool on the radio, seriously, because I can't talk standing up. It's uncomfortable to me. And when I got on it, the stool came from up under me, and I.
Did you fall? You fell?
What did I ever? All this on the floor? It was not a good feeling. It wasn't. But I, because the little mats that they have, so your chairs won't roll. Well, it wasn't there. And so when I told one of the office administrators about it, of course she did ask me, "Are you all right? Did you go to the doctor?" She did ask me all of those things, and I was. After it took me about 15 minutes to get up, but I was okay. Should I have done something further? Knowing that I had the accident and then I felt that I was okay.
Well, at the very least, you need to tell your supervisor, like you did. The law requires that you give them notice that you got hurt on the job. If you don't give them notice within 30 days, and that goes by very quickly, then if you did have a more serious injury and needed treatment, they could have a defense to your claim altogether, and a lot of insurance companies will raise that as a defense.
So the very first thing you're telling everybody out there is, if you have an injury on the job, notify your employer.
Absolutely.
Does every employer have to have workers' compensation, the coverage?
Not every company has to. If you have at least 3 employees, then the law requires you to have workers' compensation. So small, companies that only have 1 or 2, then they don't. But if there's at least 3 employees, and there is a distinction between independent contractors and employees. Some businesses have independent contractors that typically don't get W-2'd, no income taxes are withheld. If you are truly an independent contractor, then you don't have workers' comp coverage. So that's another thing that an attorney would need to evaluate.
And most people, though, are going to fall into this mix that Joyce is talking about.
They are. But that's one of the evaluations that if someone calls me, I'm going to look at, is there workers' comp insurance? Do they need to have it? If so, who's it with? Are you an employee? Are there at least 3 employees? And have you given notice within 30 days? The employer also is supposed to, by law, have a posted panel of physicians. Posted. It's a list, a big, probably 14-inch pink posted panel, and it has 6 doctors on it if it's compliant, and there has to be at least 1 orthopedic surgeon. And that also gives you the insurance company on that is going to pay for that workers' comp claim.
Well, here's the deal that I want to talk about when we come back. The statute of limitations, the time to trigger a claim. We know with a car accident how long it is, and one questions I know is that it could be different for workers' comp. So we want to talk about how urgent you have to act, how fast you have to act, why it's in your best interest to act right now. You're not going to want to miss out on the money you deserve.
Welcome back to AutoScoop with Adam Goldfine and Joyce Littell.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for being with us on this Friday. Hopefully you're having a wonderful morning, and we hope that the information that you received today will be a benefit to you. That's why we do it. So if you have a call for Adam or for Richard, you can call us up right now at 404-607-1407, 404-607-1407. Now, I have a question. If, like I left home this morning coming to this job, or I do a lot of remotes, which is on-site appearances for the radio station, or when we go out to some of the auto dealerships and do this show. Now, if something were to happen to me, if a car were to bang me up and I live to tell about it, am I entitled to workman's compensation? I know I'll deal with the accident, but would I be entitled to that if something were to happen to me? And then after you tell me that, tell me if I can get this information free from you, or do I have to be prepared to pay you, Richard?
Well, first of all, every case is going to be very, very fact specific. So when you are deciding, that's one of the reasons why you do need to call an attorney, because the attorney can evaluate, is this going to be a comp claim or is it not going to be a comp claim? If you are a traveling salesman, for example, and you're traveling, or if you are traveling from your, like you went into your office and then we're going to another on-site, that would be for the benefit of the employer. When you were traveling in your car, you would probably have a workers' comp claim and a personal injury claim.
But I'm leaving home to go do the work for the employer.
Yeah, typically if you are leaving home driving to work, that is not going to be covered until you actually get to your place of employment.
But I wouldn't have left home if I wasn't going.
It doesn't mean we don't have a personal injury claim. On the other side, you're just not getting the double recovery that
trying to
Richard
get it
wants to
all.
get.
Let him stop playing.
But here's what's funny. I got to tell you, and I mentioned the statute of limitations, which I want him to address. What people don't understand is they have almost like a double opportunity for recovery.
But I'm trying to get mine too.
I know, but you want it for like eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We're trying to help people who are at work, okay? I mean, but where you went into work and then are driving to the remote, that's what he's saying.
Right,
So,
I understood that. But
Or if you have a designated parking deck, for example, and you get into the company parking lot and you're walking into the building, or if you've clocked out and are walking back to your car, then that is sometimes covered because it's ingress or egress. But once you're in your car driving home, that wouldn't be if it was for your own benefit.
Back to the statute of limitations, Richard. Is it different for workers' comp than a car accident, a personal injury?
It certainly is. A car accident is pretty clear cut. It's going to be 2 years from the date of the accident for most claims. Workers' comp, it's a very difficult statute because it can be as short as 1 year from the date of the accident instead of 2, so it's half the time. Now, there are exceptions to that, and the exceptions are if you're going to workers' comp doctors and they're paying, that 1 year continues to move from the last date they paid for medical treatment, or you had authorized treatment. If you're receiving the weekly income benefits, then it's a 2-year statute from the last date that you received an income benefit. So it's very complex, and in workers' comp, if you don't have an attorney, it's easy for these deadlines to slip up.
Well, it sounds complex. I mean, I have to tell you, when we talk about like a normal car accident, it seems so simple. How is a person expected to do it by themselves, honestly?
I don't think it works well by yourself. In workers' comp, they do not have to settle the case. Even if you hire an attorney, a settlement is by consent of both parties. What I do is I enforce and protect your rights. I make sure that they do pay you your income benefits for your lost wages. I make sure that they are paying for the medical treatment. And a battle is also getting, even when their doctor says, the workers' comp doctor says you need an MRI or you need a surgery, sometimes the adjuster will just say no, I'm not going to authorize it. An attorney steps in, requests a hearing if we can't negotiate that and get the authorization, and then we go to a workers' comp judge to explain why they need to pay for those things and authorize those things. So there's a huge benefit to having an attorney. Without one, a lot of times people just don't get what they're entitled to and what they need. And there's nothing sadder than when I get a phone call and they need to have a surgery. The doctor agrees they need the surgery. The surgery is going to be the only thing that's going to get their life back together where they can get back into the workforce, and an adjuster is saying no. If you don't have an attorney to request a hearing, most of the time that's not going to ever be an authorized surgery to get your life back together.
How many people get the short end of the stick?
A lot of
we
them.
talked about it before, right?
Yeah.
I
mean, because the bottom line is, until Richard comes on and say, give me a call, we can go through the consultation for absolutely free and things like that. We feel that everything has a cost to it. So if we can't afford it, we won't do it.
So here's the funniest thing. I'm going to throw Donna under the bus, okay?
See,
Donna.
remember who it comes from, Donna?
Now, Donna does our makeup. Here's a very interesting story. Her boyfriend got into an accident, and she's talking to Richard about it, off camera before the show.
So why are you telling me that?
Because of what Richard said, kind of it made me stop. And she's saying he thinks he can get his recovery on his own. And then Richard's just standing there drinking his orange juice, and he says, "But if you use an attorney, you get what? What was the line? I mean, I almost fell over."
Well, he was unaware of the fact that since he was going to workers' comp doctors, that meant that workers' comp was paying for that. And he was thinking he was going to get a recovery from the negligent driver on a personal injury claim on his own. Well, first of all, getting that fair market value of what that case is really worth, either from the workers' comp or the personal injury, is going to be very, very unlikely without an attorney. But also, he didn't realize that the workers' comp, if he settled with them, they're going to have a subrogation claim, which means that they're going to try to take back every dollar that they paid for his workers' comp claim out of his personal injury claim.
Well, it's not just that, though. It was the point that you said about that insurance study. That's the point I was trying to make.
Oh, yes. I did. There was, the insurance companies themselves do studies, and I did come across just this past week that on average an injury claim is going to get 3.5 times more if you have an attorney than not. And that doesn't surprise me because I'm in the business. But
think about that. So in other words, instead of getting 10 grand, you get 35.
Yes.
Instead of getting 100 grand, you get 350,000.
Yes.
I mean, are you kidding? When you said that, I was like, what?
And the other thing,
I'll do it.
The other thing that's important to realize is
I'm good.
hiring an attorney, it doesn't cost anything to call. It doesn't cost anything to have a free consultation. Hiring me, there's going to be no out-of-pocket expenses. It's going to be on a contingency fee. So I get paid when I get the recovery that is something that the client wants.
All right, stay with us. We have a whole bunch more, and it's chock full.